Phosphor friends, Earl at the logbook.com, back on the Intellivision to play what may well be the worst game in the entire Intellivision library. And we are talking about Coleco's 1982 port of Donkey Kong. Now, Coleco had the rights to Donkey Kong as far as a cartridge game, and so it produced versions of Donkey Kong not only for its own ColecoVision, where it was the pack-in launch title that came with every console, but it made versions of the game for the Atari 2600 and the Intellivision. The Atari 2600 version takes a lot of guff, really, for not living up to the, even the slightest expectations of a decent arcade port. I happen to think the Intellivision version may be a little bit worse. Sure, there is some slightly finer grain detail in the graphics that make it a little bit more like the arcade game, but the movement is painfully slow. The controls are not terribly responsive. Of course, I'm kind of cheating because since I am playing the game in emulation, I'm not having to deal with the original controls. Still, even so, with keyboard controls that more or less offer pinpoint accuracy, I'm barely able to get this game to do anything. And let's just momentarily ignore the fact that Donkey Kong himself looks like a rather benign teddy bear version of Swamp Thing. It's terrible. There are, however, some saving graces. Let's do something completely goofy. Okay, we are now moonwalking by the oil barrel. Something I bet you didn't know you could do. It does absolutely nothing to improve the game, but, at least you can, sing some Michael Jackson songs and moonwalk your way around the levels of the playing field. This is painfully slow. Painfully slow. You would think that the Intellivision version would be an improvement over what the Atari 2600 got, but alas, no. Let's see if the second level is any more playable. Well, to determine that, I would actually have to survive it. Shall we try again? And let me reiterate, painfully slow. Alright, now I have the hammer. Wow. Really? The graphic on the hammer is kind of... okay. Come back here, barrel. Oh, so the hammer does nothing. Good. Good to know. like the almost random nature of how the game determines whether or not you have jumped high enough. The 2600 version is at least responsive and somewhat fast-moving. This isn't. That went well. And amazingly, after this, Coleco went on to port Donkey Kong Jr. for the Intellivision, apparently not having yet done enough damage with their port of Donkey Kong. The woeful nature, and I know I keep using that word, but it really seems to be so appropriate here. The woeful nature of this port of Donkey Kong was such a sticking point for nearly everyone involved with Intellivision that one of Imagic's earliest games as a third-party publisher for the Intellivision was the vastly superior Beauty and the Beast, which kind of tickles some of the same genes as Donkey Kong does. Okay, so really we only have 2 fireballs. Does the hammer do anything with the fireballs? Does it do more to the fireballs than it does with the barrel? Oh, I guess it does. Will that fireball come back? That's the question. Ah, yes. Yes, it will. But is it confined to that space? I think it is. 2 years later, the hammer wore off. Oh, that's it. No more fanfare than that. And I guess the game is now harder and faster? Not detectably so, but I'm sure in someone's mind. So, we not only got Beauty and the Beast out of this as really sort of Imagic apologizing for Coleco's lackadaisical port. In the early 2000s, Electronite, a homebrew game publisher, produced a very unofficial but very much improved version of this game under the title Donkey Kong Arcade. And we'll have to play that one sometime. And it will probably be a lot less painful to play than this version released by Coleco for the Intellivision in 1982. Thanks for watching.